We're going to get started on step number 20, which in its own is not that difficult. We are going to attach the servo holders, or the servo mounts, to the servo. There's two different ones, part AX31104-7 and -8. -7 has a little slider portion in there, and -8 does not. So 7 is actually a little bit bigger than 8. You can see the two different parts there. So let's start off with the larger one, which is 7. And we'll take our servo and position it just like it is in the manual, with the spline or the shaft in this direction. And we're going to put the part number 7, which is the one with the slider on it, on this part on the back, that's pointing towards me. And the slider itself, as you can see, points, has an area that comes out, and that's going to go in towards the servo. There are two screws that we're going to use. They have a flat head on them. They look a little bit different than the other screws in the kit. And those are the screws that we are going to use. The servo mounts are made out of a really hard plastic, so they are a little bit difficult to get stuff threaded. So we're going to start one and slide it in there. Go ahead and tighten it up. Try to keep this in camera view and still be able to screw it in. A little bit difficult sometimes, acting for the camera. We may have to adjust these a little bit, but for this exercise at this point I'm going to make sure that they're completely pushed in. We may have to slide them around or loosen them up so that they go into the holes. I'm not quite sure. We'll find that out when we mount it onto the chassis. Come on, let's get started here. This is a tough plastic. Once you get them, the threads started, they go in, but it's difficult at times to get the threads started. There we go. Got the first one on. Don't over tighten them. I keep preaching that. Double check, make sure we got this on the right side. Okay, just looking at the directions here, and it looks like we're doing good. I'm going to try, and all servos are different in mounts, but I'm going to try to put both of these screws in a little bit before I put the mount on. Sometimes they'll slip on this way, sometimes they won't. But at least we'll have the thread started. Okay. Let's see if they'll slip in there. Get one going. There we go. Yeah, that worked out just fine. This one looks like it's universal. It doesn't quite matter which way it goes on. Go ahead and tighten this one down. It's hard to hold these in while you tighten them. Uno, dos. Next, we're going to put on the servo arm. All right. So again, we match it up. We're going to put the servo arm on. I do suggest that you take a little time and center the servo here. Make sure that it goes just as far this way as it does this way, so that when we put our arm on straight, that it's going to be somewhere towards center. Generally during setup, when you get the electronics all plugged in, we're going to have to come back and remove the servo, and we may have to move the horn over 1 or 2 splines depending on how close we got it. And then double check and make sure that you're using the right servo screw for your horn. Since I'm using the factory stuff, the tactic servo, the screw came with it. If not, the screw should be in your servo when you get it. Make sure you use the proper screw. Okay, we're going to put that in just like so. Now we get to mount the servo. And I did not get my screws out for this, so we need 8XA116 for 2, which is not that one, but however, I did get one of these, which we need. And where are we? Here we go. There's one of the number 2s and 2 of the number 2s. Okay. So let's grab our chassis here. See how this all fits together. Again, this is a dry run for me. I've never done this before. Looks like it's going to drop into these 2 holes here. Just like so. Boy, look at that. Fits right in there. And then the servo arm is going to attach here to the servo saver. Now I did match this up, and I'm just looking here, and it looks like a little bit out of whack here because the arm, the wheels are going back for the length of the servo here. And as you go back on the servo, that will change. But we'll readjust all of that later on. So let's go ahead and mount the servo in. We're going to use the 2 screws here that we just got out. Put one in here in this hole. And those are long screws. One back into this hole here. I think the slide on the servo here is meant for, because not all servos are the same size. So I think that little sliding portion on that servo mounting bracket is to accommodate different servos. Alright. Just about done here. You don't want to tighten them too tight, just till they touch. Okay. The servo is now mounted. Just double check. It's all in there nice and tight. Now we need another screw, which is the longer one here, which is the 117. We'll match that up, make sure it's the right one. It also looks like we need a nylock nut. So we're going to drop the screw down through the top, and then on the servo saver here there's a hole, and you can move your steering rack around until that lines up properly. Put it in. And we will put the nut in from the bottom. You're going to have to move this around a little bit so that you can actually access that nut from the bottom. So go ahead and push that servo saver all the way to the forward position. And that way our wrench will fit in there to put the nut on. Tighten that down just till it's snug. Okay. Take a look at everything, and now our servo is connected. And that is the end of step number, what is it? We are on 20 already. We're going to get all the pieces and get ready for step number 21.